Hey everybody, thank you again for joining me on part 2 of my interview with Jon Ferguson. In this episode we're going to speak to a few more of his band members as well as pick Jon's brain as to what the present and the future holds for Long John Lev, and as well as dig deeper into what really influences and motivates Jon Ferguson as a musician. So stick around, thank you for joining me, and enjoy guys.
Eugene, capital C character.
I love music, and one day I want to have my own band. What do I not do? But yeah, I play all the woodwinds. One of the few bands where you hear a real already versatile woodwind section.
What do you love about music and performing?
The spontaneity, original music, and the groove. That's the best thing. Getting the groove and the feel for it. That's what it's all about.
I've known Eugene for quite a while now. So I met Eugene when I started playing open mics in Calgary. There used to be a place, it's Mikey's Juke Joint now, and Mikey's, if you want to have us ever, would be happy to come back down and love the place. It used to be called Jackdaws, though, like 10 years ago, I guess. And I met Eugene there, and he would just get up, and he'd have a different instrument every time. So some days he'd be playing saxophone with people, some days he'd be playing flute with people, and he'd just sit in with whoever he wanted. No, he's not a glory hound. He's not the guy that needs like all the praise and everything, which, you know, for his talent level, I mean, you'll see him at the show, he's going to be playing 5 different instruments, flute, tenor sax, clarinet, alto clarinet, and soprano saxophone, all equally well. He has a really, really good measure of feel. I think Eugene, like he knows how to put emotion into things, which when you meet Eugene, he's such like a straight-laced guy that you don't see that. And the more that you get to know him, you realize like his sense of humor is pretty strange, like ours is. He's had a very interesting life story, lots of different, you know, kind of odd jobs and stuff in addition to his music. And he'll busk literally anywhere in Calgary. I've seen him at train stations. I've seen him outside the Saddle Dome. So every time I hear a saxophone now or like a flute, I'll have to check and see. And like a lot of the times I feel like I'm right that it's Eugene. But no, I think because he's been playing music a lot longer than a lot of other people, he has a totally different viewpoint on how it can be. And he's coming from that completely different place. Like it's one of those things I like about our band is that since everyone's musical influences are different, the more people you add to something, the more diverse that group together sound is going to be, right? And I feel like he really adds to that part of the group. He's coming from such a different place in his life and his music, and even the instrument he plays, it's not like a guitar or a piano or even a violin. I mean, that emulates the human voice. The saxophone and the flute and stuff, completely different things. Some of these are orchestral instruments, and he's coming and doing pop music with us. Like it's yeah, he just adds an angle that we couldn't get from anybody else, I don't think, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Jones. So Mike and I worked together in the software world for a couple of years. And it's really interesting how many people that work in computers are creative people, either on the side or like they still have really serious creative aspirations. And so I don't even remember how we stumbled upon it. Oh, actually I do. Another coworker of ours, he was having his 40th birthday at Cafe Koi, you know, the place where everybody seems to meet. It's like a nexus, I guess. But he was having people up to play, and then I saw that Mike Jones was there playing keyboard, and he has this amazing keyboard technique, great jazz piano player, and he can actually really sing. He really, really understands music by feel. And he's just, I mean, you've talked to him, right? He's just got this energy to him. He's like such a happy guy, and a really very humble guy for his skill. And I think that's also kind of a common thread with our group is that humility is sort of a thread. We're all sort of the misfits, you know? And I think that Mike, although he wears, you know, nice clothes and he's very smart and very classy, he still has enough misfit in him that it works. What I like about him musically, though, is that he has a good sense of the difference between something that's good and great. You know, he'll play something and we'll be like, yeah, and he'll be like, or, and then he'll play something, you know, a little bit more elaborate. He also makes these really great faces when he's getting into piano solos. Like you've seen bass face, which is like, right? Mike has these really intense, emotional piano solo faces, and he does the Ray Charles kind of like, head bobbing and stuff. He just brings that same energy that he brings to life, and then he concentrates it all into his fingers and his body when he plays music. And yeah, we love having him around. Like he was a late addition to the group, but again, it feels like he's supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. David Weeb.
My name is David Andrew Weeb. I'm the guitarist, backing vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist of Long John Love. I guess I've been playing guitar now for about 14 years. What? That's definitely not a softball right there. Music allows for one to express their creativity individually, and as a guitarist, you probably notice if you watch different bands and different artists that each one is different. They bring their own style, they bring their own creativity, they bring their own ideas and level of proficiency and skill to it. And I think that's one of the draws of music and playing guitar in general.
Right on, right on.
David Andrew Weeb he's the guy, he's the man. I've had several bands in my life, and over the last 3 or 4 bands, Dave is the only consistent member of the band. We've played in a duo longer now, I think, than we've had a band to go on. Yeah, I mean, he's one of my best friends for a really long time now, and he is sort of he's just really mellow all the time. I mean, the guy never breaks like a 6 on the high energy scale. It's not that he's not an intense guy. He's very intelligent. Musically, he's incredibly proficient, and he always knows what he wants to do. But he's just not the guy that like goes into high anxiety mode. And I think he's sort of like the rock, right? Whenever anything is kind of falling, like him and Ben sort of both help to sort of center the energy in this band when people start freaking out too much, or when people get worried. It's like, no, these guys, Dave's here. Like even our backup singers constantly, they're always like, hey, is Dave gonna come? Dave's gonna be here?
But correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the major or some of the best songwriting duos and groups have like usually like a main songwriter and his rock, this guy that
For sure. Yeah,
has the best writing.
he's my Steve Van Zandt to my Bruce Springsteen. Like he's I think that's all just from a personal perspective, but also musically too. I mean, my songs sound completely different if you take away Dave's parts, to a point where even if I'm playing a solo show, I like to try and get Dave to come out and play and just add the color. He's a guy where if you're playing a song, even if you played it 10,000 times before, and you want to go, hey, country, and he'll just start playing country, and halfway through that you can be, okay, Angus, AC/DC, and he'll just start shredding it up, even if he's playing on an acoustic guitar, and he can drop styles at the drop of a hat. He's listened to so much music, he's practiced all his theory, even though he's self-taught. Like I don't think that there's anything on guitar that guy can't do. And yeah, and he's always willing to go along with anything. Like he was the first guy where I'm like, let's put chains on this song, Dave. And he's like, yeah. And that's all you need from Dave. It's like, if you get that nod where he will tell you if it's a completely crazy idea, but a little bit crazy seems to be preferable to that guy. Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, since I don't have video of her, Joanna Drummond?
Drummond, yeah, Joanna Drummond.
Tell me about Joanna Drummond.
So Joanna is a singer-songwriter as well in town. I met her at Cafe Koi as well. It's really actually funny how many people in this band we've either met or like collaborated in that space. But Joanna came in for the first time when I happened to be hosting an open mic. And when I'm hosting an open mic, I don't normally have time to actually pay attention to the performers that much. Right. But I think what struck me about Joanna wasn't as much her performance that night, but the fact that after the open mic was over, she immediately came up and wanted to just start talking about songwriting. She's really into process. She's really into the construction parts of it. Right. And I think that perfectionism and that attention to detail is what she also brings to the group. She's classically trained, like in opera, and also piano. She's taken piano lessons, guitar lessons. A very detail-oriented, very perfectionist person, which you know, a lot of musicians, that's not exactly a common personality type. I mean, perfectionism is in an obsessive way, but not perfectionism as in, you know, I think this is the right way, and we should try it at least this way first. Let's try it the right way first. And that's sort of what Joanna brings, is she makes sure that we're always trying, you know, whatever the correct way might be. If she feels really strongly about something, she always says so. And I think that provides a real value to the group, that there's somebody that's willing to be stubborn about things and not just kind of go with the flow. Because if you have too many people going with the flow, it, you know, turns from a great ice cream, you know, sundae to ice cream soup, right? Like you have to have somebody there that's willing to fight. And I think in a really nice and thoughtful way, Joanna is that person. But I also think that she likes to learn new things all the time. And so when she does suggest something and we try it and it doesn't quite work, she doesn't get stuck on it. She wants to see, it's like a puzzle for Joanna, like how are we going to make this work now? And then when we do it, she's like, I really like that. And she'll be the one that asks questions about, you know, how does this affect the tone of the lyric underneath here? And she really does care about that construction. From a vocal perspective, so we have Emma, who has a very kind of jazzy voice. Mercy has that pop R&B blues voice. Joanna brings like the classical soprano pipes. And most people would not want that kind of a sound in a pop group, because when you're really good at it, it pierces, it cuts. But she's so good at blend that even though you can tell it's her singing, it's not taking away from the overall feel of the piece, right? I just think her voice has this natural, really natural power to it. And it really adds kind of an undercurrent of weight underneath the rest of the backup vocals. I mean, Dave is also singing background vocals, but it's a man's voice, right? So Joanna is kind of the bookend. She's at the other end of the register, and she's still providing just as much strength as Dave's voice does. So it gives our four-piece background vocal section a lot of oomph when Joanna is in there, for sure. Yeah.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me on my interview with Jon Ferguson and his band Long John Lev. Big ups to those guys. Thank you very much for letting me do this interview. I had a great time doing it, and if you guys are interested in seeing more interviews from me like this, please let me know in the comment section below. As well, if you want to check out Jon Ferguson's YouTube page on any new music, any of his live covers, anything like that, you feel free to check him out right here or in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.